chat first, but nah, it's better. Just baptism of fire. Best
No,
way. Best way. So yeah. How have you been since we did our filming together in London?
yeah, it's good. Yeah, yeah, I was there. Sort of got there Thursday night. Came back to Nottingham on Monday morning, and it was a good sort of 3.5 days. Yeah.
Yeah, good. So yeah, we've got a lot to talk about in this live stream. I think there's going to be a lot of value that we're going to drop. It's going to help guys who are listening make their cold approach 1,000 times better. We're going to have a conversation that we've already had, which is more about your recent experience in London, what you learned from it, and how you're going to improve your own cold approach. But I wanted to kick off this live stream with a special important announcement. So Mark is now going to be part of my coaching team in London. So he's going to be helping me specifically with the guys who've got a lot of resistance to overcoming those first approaches. He's going to be helping me on that side of things, because the position that I'm in now, I want to be running the best cold approach operation in the world. And for me to do that, I need to bring on board the best talent. And I think it's nice as well. I think that, you've rose your way through the ranks of the entourage, and now you're going to be a coach. So I think let's just kick off. What do you think you're going to bring to the table? Like, what in particular do you think you're going to be able to help guys with?
Right. Well, the thing is that I'm quite an empathic person. I've got quite a degree of sensitivity. I would class myself as a sensitive personality, but I've got a great deal of awareness. So, guys feel confident. Getting to know me. Nothing is off the table. I've had some struggles in my life, and I can act as a friend to anyone that comes into my fold and wants to train with me. So yeah, I've struggled a lot with approach anxiety, and so I've found solutions to that over the last few years. So I'm really keen to share all that with the guys. So any struggle is not too small. I can or too big, I should say. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, so speaking
I'm
about,
pretty old as well, so I've been around the block, so
yeah,
got a lot of experience in life. I'm a musician. I like playing live in front of people. I didn't used to be. I used to have social anxiety and be quite shy. Didn't want to put my hand up at school. I was bullied as well when I was in my early teens, and didn't come from a particularly happy background. My parents weren't very happy. They divorced when I was 23. So there are a few of the things that I've had in my life, and some of the guys listening to this might recognize that and relate to that. So yeah, I'm just a regular guy, and just got a lot to share.
yeah, I think definitely your age will be something that guys can resonate with. There's very few guys at your age who are actually doing this. I think there's a lot of guys who watch my stuff. They're round about your age. I personally think that they will resonate with you more than they resonate with me. And I think having having that figure next to them who has the empathy, because you are of a similar age, maybe you've got similar life experiences. I do think that is value. I think that's valuable to guys. Um, you were talking about ways in which you've been able to overcome the approach anxiety. So you're talking about ways which you've been able to overcome that initial resistance towards starting the approaches. Would you be able to share some things that you've done which have helped you, and maybe can help the guys who are watching this?
Parts of the jigsaw. So I'll perhaps touch on a few. Um, when I was in my late 20s, I was just pretty disillusioned with life. I was not very happy, to be honest. I had a career as a chemical engineer. I was earning good money. I was in a relationship. I had a nice car, and I just still was not particularly happy. I was just kind of discontented a lot of the time and getting anxious and stuff. And I got into meditation. and that's been a massive thing for me. I went to Buddhist evening classes in my late 20s, and I just got really stuck into that. And I actually went to live in a Buddhist community for 2 years and tried to get to enlightenment. That's one of the things that Buddhists talk about. I mean, it's a bit of an idealistic thing, but just the idea of developing mindfulness, being in present, being in the moment. This helps you become grounded, a better listener. You're just more easygoing. Yeah, you've got things that you want in your life. You want to still achieve things. You still prefer life to be a certain way, but you're just more laid back about things. And so, yeah, meditation's a big one for me, really. I practice meditation every morning. I do a 15 to 20-minute meditation, and I'll often eat my breakfast in silence and just be with the senses, just hear myself eating, listen to the birds outside, just be in the body a lot more. So there's that I can bring for guys who are not au fait with things like meditation, mindfulness. It's massive. I mean, all the high achievers in society do meditation. It's just a prerequisite these days. Yeah, so obviously things like fitness, going to the gym or doing sports, diet, sleep. So there's lots of these things that help. And then other things as well is I've had psychotherapy over the years. Some of you guys might know about cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, where you start to become aware of your thinking, and you start to change your thinking or drop negative thoughts, that kind of thing, and just try and view things in a different way. So I've got experience of that. And I've also been a counsellor for Childline as well, so I've got listening skills. I've got skills to help guys find solutions for themselves. So yeah, and then coming more towards cold approaching. There's doing gradual steps. Everyone's heard about doing directions, and then there's various different grades of compliments that you can do. Maybe go up to someone and say they've got a nice bag or a nice hat. And you can build compliments up to obviously being very direct and saying, I just think you look so hot. What is going on with you? You need to talk to me right now. And it's great. It's a great journey to express yourself. I think underlying all of it is really this is just expressing yourself truthfully. Whether it doesn't have to be a hot girl, it could just be a guy. I mean, I've approached guys who have guitars on their back. I'm just curious. He's got a guitar. What's going on with him? And it's great to be able to just go up to people and just start conversations. So it's really ultimately about expressing your desires. Whatever you want in life, express it wholeheartedly. And overcome the fear. So yeah, there's just a lot of things. There's this self-talk I use as well. A great one I use just before an approach if I've got anxiety. I'll say, well, it'd be nice if this girl likes me, but she doesn't have to, right? She's her own person. She's got her own opinions. She might prefer a guy that's 6'4", and a guy that's got loads of tats, right? Which is not me. And so things like that can help quell the mind and calm the mind and go, okay, well, yeah, I don't have to, have this girl like me. I can still survive. I've still got a life, right? I've still got my music. I've still got my friends. I've still got the gym. I've got X, Y, and Z, so you can do this kind of self-talk. And in the moment, that can be very, very useful. Things like taking a deep breath when you see that girl. There's lots of different sort of things that I can bring in, really.
Yeah, I think that's useful. I think there's something that you said there which resonated with me a lot, where you were talking about this is really a journey of self-expression, learning how to actually say what you want rather than not saying anything at all, or maybe being a victim of your own thoughts and then saying what you think you should say. Like, oh, there's somebody that I find attractive, but I'm not gonna compliment them because I'm scared. So maybe I'm not gonna compliment them at all now, or maybe I'll say something, but it's not what I genuinely. But whatever it is, I find with this, it's overcoming the conspiracy theories of our mind. Like when we're saddled with so many self-limiting beliefs and we're projecting failure into the future, I think that's one of the biggest things that cold approach has helped me with. It's getting to that state of being okay with whatever outcome it is, and viewing the rep itself as the reward. It's like, right, did I show up? Did I speak my truth? if that was the case, like you say, you can't control all of the controllables. You don't know what she's in the market for. You don't know what she's into. Same girl, different day, different story. It is very much a lottery when we're going out there. But I think the things that you've mentioned there, the deep breathing, the mindfulness, also playing the game realistically as well. Like you're just not going to be every person's type, but just because you don't attract some doesn't mean you're not going to attract any. I think all of that is really useful, especially when guys are first starting. How was it for you during your very first days? Because obviously, we've got videos of you on the channel from December 2022, but that wasn't you at the start. Obviously, you've been doing this for a long time. How does the Mark of today differ from the Mark when he first started all of this?
Yeah, well, when I first started going back, 10 years, I was reading books, like The Game, and there's a book by Mike Klink called The Lay Guide that my friend of mine that I was living with at the time, he bought me this book. And it was all these different routines, asking the girls for opinions and whatever. Um, and I just couldn't relate to that at all. But there were a few guys around doing cold approach. One guy was called Johnny Berber, which some of you guys may know. He was based in London. And I was watching some of his videos going back, I don't know, maybe 10 years now. And it was really about gradual exposure, going up, asking for directions, going to shop assistants, just getting your mouth moving, just getting comfortable, just talking to people that you don't know. And Johnny would do these crazy social freedom things, which I've tried, like going up to girls, getting on your knees and asking her to marry you, things like that. So I'll do stuff like that, just really to try and push things. But I think really the difference, in answer to your question, is the guy back then was just more anxious, really, and the thing is, when you do this kind of stuff, you're just full of adrenaline. When I mean, you and I, we've done a boot camp. I did a boot camp with you a couple of years ago, and I was just so high on adrenaline. Going up to girls, front stopping them. It's such an amazing, exciting experience. But at the same time, it just scares the shit out of you. And I remember going on a session with Johnny at, Regent Street, Trafalgar Square, and we had a 2-hour session booked, and I was done after hour one. I was so much full of adrenaline for that first hour, just running up to girls, front stopping. I just was worn out. And so the hour two, me and Johnny just sat down and chilled and had a drink. It's like what? So yeah, it's how to do this in a graduated way, and how to calm the body. Which is why mindfulness is so important, I think, because it just keeps that adrenaline under control, and you're able then to listen. When I mean adrenaline, it's a fight or flight response, essentially. And you can imagine in the fight or flight response, it's not about having a flirty conversation with the girl. It's about you getting out of there as quickly as possible. So I think, the meditation practice has really ramped up over the last few years. I'm also an amateur musician, so going to open mic nights, singing and playing in front of, pubs of people, I think that's also helped me a lot. And just going back to your earlier point, you have to really just do it for the rep, right? You just have to really just say, I'm just going to express my desires, because with music, it's like that. You go on stage, you're performing your song, right? You have no control over the audience. They might think you're shit, and you can't rely on them to give you anything. So you have to do it for your own enjoyment. Love the song that you're doing. And, if someone likes it, that's a bonus, really. So it's just really enjoying self-expression. And when I'm mindful, when I'm really calm, I can just walk around on the streets. And, I've had sessions where I'm under no pressure to speak to any girls whatsoever. And I'm just feeling great on the streets, walking around, taking in the sunshine, just taking in the sights and sounds. And from that situation, from that presence, things, someone could just appear in my eyesight, and I just feel this sense of going over and having a chat, and there's no resistance at all. So there are moments where you are in this really calm space, and you actually just want to talk to people. Can I just say something else as well? Something else that I've learned from getting involved with Buddhism is this idea of there's a meditation practice called the Metta Bhavana, which is about developing loving kindness towards yourself. So it's like, forgiving yourself, accepting yourself, but also loving kindness towards other people, other human beings. And this has been really helpful as well because, when we grow up, it's like, don't talk to strangers, and we're very reticent. But we need to change that when we grow up as adults and see strangers are just like us. They're human beings. They want connection. They want, to have fun and they want love in their life and all these kind of things. So there's a meditation that I've done over the years which helps me connect to strangers. So, when you go out on that street, you actually feel a warmth towards people. Obviously, you know nothing about them, right? But you know that they're human, right? They have humanity. They're like you. They want to connect. They want to feel good. And so, this idea helps you, overcome anxiety a little bit. You realize they're not just weirdos. They're not strangers. They're not enemies. They're actually friends that you've just not met yet.
Yeah, I find that I do think that when people start this, it becomes this competitive rather than collaborative game. You see every person as a potential threat, right? You see every girl as holding the keys to your sense of self worth, and you're going out there at the start to be validated. Yeah, you want to be validated. You also want validation for the skill set as well. Like you want to know that what you're doing is okay to do. And I think the way to get that is having the positive reference experiences when you are going out there. Um, and it can be a tricky one because I think depending on people's mindset when they go out there, you mentioned about when you are walking around, like actually having love for the city, like taking in the sights, the sounds, and I completely resonate with that. Like my best conversations have come when I've had almost adoration for the location first. It's like this moment is so perfect right now. Like I'm enjoying myself. Maybe I've been to the gym. Maybe I got a cold shower. Maybe I've just had some good news. Maybe I've had a conversation with my mum on the phone. Everything in this moment is perfect. And it's like I don't need anything, and then that random stranger pops into your reality and it's like she's just an addition, like it's just a beautiful bonus rather than I think what most guys do is they're operating from that place of lack rather than from that place of wholeness when they go out, and it's like they need the positive reference experiences from the woman in order to feel whole in themselves. But I
Yeah.
think you're right, like when you're even just like having a day to yourself where you just go out and you just do whatever you want to do, like approaching is like write down on your list of agenda. You're like, right, I'm going to go to a good place. Maybe I'll go to a cafe. Maybe I'll read a book. And then if I see someone who interests me, yeah, maybe I will approach them. But like, not putting crazy pressure on ourselves to like, right, must go out, like militant, like must go out, must do 10 approaches, must get this result. I think it does kill the vibe. I think it kills your energy, and I think it starts to castrate you of your confidence. You know?
Yeah, I totally resonate with that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think of the times when I've had the most success, and I'm just having a great day.
Mm.
I'm at the gym in the morning. I've had a good night's sleep. I mean, I'm wearing some nice clothes that I feel comfortable in. I've had a shave, and yeah, and I'm just going to Tesco's to get my groceries. And I just see that girl. And I'm thinking, yeah, I actually I feel complete in myself. I feel happy. I feel chill. And I almost like I just want to share that energy with somebody. And you know,
It's like an instant blowout, it doesn't hurt as much because you're already up here. But
mm,
like if you're down here and you're cold approaching to feel better about yourself, and the first one goes terrible, it's like you go into like -10, and that's when guys start. It can be a rocky road with this. I think I've described it as emotional gambling in the past. I think you want to go to the blackjack table when you can afford to lose money. You don't want to be putting your life savings on one hand of blackjack because that's a high risk strategy and you might lose everything. So I think just getting the point across to guys, getting yourself into as good of a mental state as possible before you embark on this journey. It's not to say that you didn't sleep that well the night before, so now you can't go out and speak to people. It's not that. It's nuanced. But I do think the aspect that you're bringing to this, like having that aspect of mental clarity, putting yourself first, making sure that you're in a good place. It's like when you're on the aeroplane, they say fit your own face mask first before you help someone else. So you want to be making sure that you're taking care of yourself. Otherwise, you're no good to anybody else. Um, I just wanted to ask you because you had a recent, we'll call it solo expedition session in London,
Yeah.
where we did our filming together, and then you came to London. You met with some guys as well, but we'll just say it was like a solo expedition. We spoke about it on the phone in private, but I think what you learned from that time, I think narrating that story to the guys would be valuable. So I'll hand the floor to you. You can tell the story however you want.
Yeah. Okay. So I was out last Friday, and I was due to meet a couple of guys from the Entourage group at midday outside Liverpool Street Station in London. My hotel was about 10 minutes away, I think, from Liverpool Street, and so I had a good morning. I've been to Leon. I'm getting into Leon. I'm getting into healthy food. There's a Leon in Liverpool Street, and I just love the porridge there, man. Just love it.
Yeah.
So I went there in the morning, got some breakfast, and I did a bit of meditation, and I took my time having a shower, a nice hot shower in the morning in the hotel. And on the way to meet the guys, like I said, it was 10 minutes away from the hotel. I did a few approaches. I did directions, a good classic one that an old guy called Tom Torero. Some guys might know him. He would say, ask someone for where there's a decent coffee shop, not your Starbucks or your Costa, but something a little bit independent, and that can be a nice icebreaker. I like to do just get an opinion on from somebody. So I did that, and then I did a couple of direct compliments to women. Oh, you look lovely today. Nothing too, nothing sexual. Just sharing a bit of love. And then I met up with the guys, and we had a bit of a chat at Liverpool Street Station for a few minutes, and then we started walking around, and just hanging out really. And if one of us sees a girl that just go off and chat. Anyway, the very first woman that I stopped, I just said, "Oh, I love your hairstyle." She had sort of long blonde hair, and it was out here, and it was just nice. I didn't really think too much about it, and we ended up walking for 15 minutes towards Brick Lane. She was German, and I learned a bit of German at school or whatever. So literally after a minute, she asked me to walk her to Brick Lane. So that was just really nice. It was just a warm up, really. I thought nothing of it, but that was just a really nice conversation. And what was interesting about that is, right, which I've never had before, is that after only 5 minutes of walking with this woman, we were walking through Spitalfields Market, and I actually felt this was weird. I felt like we were a couple because she was looking at the handbags on this stall, and I says, "Yeah, just go and have a look at these handbags. That's fine." And I was waiting for her. And I thought, fuck this. I'm just like, it's like we've been together like years. And I've never felt that with anybody in like 5 minutes. We're absolutely insane. And then we carried on walking after going through the market for another 10 minutes or so. And I got a number at the end of it. I didn't want to walk around Brick Lane with her for the next 2 or 3 hours. I wanted to get back to the guys in the group. But that just kind of blew my mind, really, but I was just very chill and very relaxed, and we were just like old friends almost, walking the streets together. It was just bizarre. So that was an amazing experience I had on the Friday. And then, yeah, there were other approaches, other short conversations, but to be honest, I just didn't really click with any other woman that I saw that day, and that's okay. We're all unique, and so you just have to say, well, look, there's going to be some women out there that are going to be in the right space to meet me, and I just have to put faith in that. You really do have to put faith in that, because you do get a lot of no's and you get a lot of rejections, right? So you just have to believe that there's nothing wrong with us as individuals. Are perfectly fine. We're just our own unique selves, and we just have to find others who like who we are. So that's a really important mindset to bear in mind.
Yeah.
But then Saturday,
I
I'll
would.
just get
I
through
would
this. The Saturday, I really struggled all day. I was in my head most of the day, really. I had a few tourist things to do, so I did those, and but really, I just did 2 or 3 approaches. Really struggled, and then on the Sunday, I actually managed to pick up in the afternoon on the Sunday afternoon, and I actually did an exercise that I've done on a previous video. These, the mindfulness video I shot, is it 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I was running the mindful approaching, and I actually did this no exercise. So I just went walking along Regent Street, and I just said hello to people. That's right, I was doing the hello exercise, one person after another, and getting constant rejections, and they're just bouncing off me, because I was in a mindful state. And then I just stopped this one girl. She's walking towards me. She's probably about 20 years old. She's in her gym gear. This bouncy Asian girl, and I just walked up to her. Basically, she's walking towards me. I says, "Hey," I put my hand out. "Hey, how are you? You having a good day?" And she stopped, and we had like a 5-minute conversation. And she was just really happy that I'd stopped. We had a really nice chat. And then after that, I was just on it, and I was, I stopped this 25-year-old Russian girl. We went walking through Trafalgar Square together for a while, and I stopped a Canadian girl who was waiting for her date, and so I was just bantering with her. I told her that I'd poisoned him and that I was his replacement, and so yeah, just socially free, really, and it was just great. So it's up and down. You do get up and down days in this, which is so important if you got guys to support you. I think it really is essential, to be honest. Doing it on your own, it is tough going. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was great.
no, I think that's a valid point. I think obviously we spoke a lot about mindset, mental clarity, mental health. It's not a solo sport. I really don't think it is. It's not a solo sport. It's an extreme sport. And I think it's the sort of sport where you need your brothers around you, especially when things are not going your way. They don't even need to be with you in person, but knowing that your guys are only a voice note away or just a WhatsApp message away, you might be in the field. You might just need to speak to somebody. You might just need to drop a voice message or just speak to somebody, and then that might be enough to revitalize you. It is scary, the amount of guys who are still perpetuating that lone wolf approach. It's not sustainable. It's not healthy. It's okay if you want to do it for like a weekend. If you want to just do like a weekend of cold approaching, just for like a YOLO experience, like a skydive, then fine. But I think if you actually want to get results and if you actually want to integrate it into your lifestyle, you need to be with guys who ideally are better than you and who also are integrating it into their life. I think that's essential. Just on the point where, just so the guys are clear, you're walking through the street to get rejected. That's right, yeah. So like you're going through the street, you're saying good morning or hello to as many people as possible. And what's the thinking behind this? Just for guys who've not watched that video, why are you doing this? Like, what's the purpose of it?
Okay, so the purpose of getting rejected is because that's really when you can just take rejection, and it doesn't affect you. It just means that you can do a lot better with girls. I mean, you'll know this, and some of our listeners will probably know this about breaking rapport. With girls, you don't just want to be, "How are you? Are you having a nice day?" Or, "What do you do for a living?" "Oh, that's nice. I do the same thing as you." Obviously, if you want to be their mate, that's fine. That's just making rapport. But with girls, you want to be teasing them, you want to be challenging them, and you're not going to be teasing or challenging girls if you're afraid that they're going to reject you, right? Or they're going to walk off or ignore you. So it really is the best way forward, really. Obviously, for guys who are starting out on this, I wouldn't recommend you go up and just say hello to random people all the time and get rejected. It's too difficult. But I've found over the years, for me, it's dynamite, absolute dynamite. Because within literally 1 or 2 minutes, I'm warmed up. I don't need to bother with with directions or gradual, warm ups or whatever. I can just go up and say hello to a handful of people, ask for conversations directly and abruptly, which of course is not a clever thing to do normally. Once I've got those no's, I've got those brush offs, I've been ignored. Literally within 2 or 3 minutes, I'm like, okay, I don't give a fuck now. I really, I can go up to a girl, I can be cheeky, and take a risk. And that's when girls they're like that. So you have to demonstrate that with the girls. So that's why I do it, really, is to get in the right kind of state.
Yeah, I love it as well because you're prioritizing efficiency with this. So if you are gonna do like the directions, oh, I need to do 3 directions now. I need to do like the independent, like that takes a lot of time. Yeah, you could be out there for 40 minutes and you've still not done any direct approaches. But with the method that you're describing, where you're going out and you're actively leaning in to the worst case scenario, which is people saying no or fast brush offs, instant blowout, by front loading that and getting the worst case scenario over and done with within the first 5 minutes, you become bulletproof for the rest of that day. Because it's like, especially if other people are seeing you getting rejected, because then now the social pressure, now the spotlight effect doesn't even matter. It's like, well, these people probably think I'm a weirdo. I've overcome that initial resistance, and you're so right. You become more of a risk taker in conversations. Like it's almost like you crucify that little boy inside of you, and you become the version of you who you actually want to present to the world. So I think that's really cool. The other thing that I want to talk to you about was the actual open itself. So
Right.
obviously, when it comes to this cold approach, there really no rules to any of it. Really, it's just guidelines. Yeah, what works for me might not work for you. What you do might not work for Joe Bloggs who's listening to this. So that needs to be understood. It's not like a one size fits all. So I've made videos in the past and we've done coaching sessions where I say to you, right, go all in with your compliment, like really blow her away. Someone made a good point that that's not always the most efficient way. Like you need to be socially intelligent enough. Like your energy might not be there, or the girl herself might not be ready to receive such a hard hitting compliment. Maybe she's a little bit shy. Maybe she's a bit demure. She's not ready in that moment. So what have you learned about when it comes to the open itself? Because I know you've been doing a lot of hard hitting, all in compliments, but just like in terms of like the actual like first 30 seconds, what are you learning? Like, what's your approach to actually cold approach now?
Right. Well, really, it depends where I'm at mentally. Where how I'm feeling in myself. So, well, actually, yeah, it just varies a lot. I mean, it's going back to what we are saying earlier. It's about free expression, really. It's about expressing ourselves honestly and authentically, and free from, as you say, free from bullshit, free from fear. Um, so when I've done like the rejection exercise that we just discussed, I could go up and say, "You're just so fucking hot, come back here now, let's talk," and you can own it. Other times, if I'm feeling more fragile, it might be, "Excuse me, I just saw you. I just thought you looked lovely," and then have a little smile, and then with a little smile at the end, the girl will often come back to you. I've learned that. I did struggle for a while, not smiling, looking like a serial killer. Because that's the thing, when you're on your own and you get no feedback from someone, you don't realise how stony faced you can be. And a girl is looking at your face primarily to gauge whether you are worth talking to, whether you're safe to talk to. So getting the smile right, or in a slight smirk, whatever it is. So really, the compliments vary. In answer to your question, it really depends where I'm at state wise, really, as to what I'll do. Yeah, and of course you can go more indirect as well. You can just say, I just saw you, and um, I sort of like your energy, and you can't just don't be too forward with it. Just be more relaxed about the compliment, and then you can use eye contact, and you can use a bit of touching if necessary, or deeper voice. There's lots of things you can do to try and elicit attraction, than just what you say. I'm not sure I've answered your question, but
Well, I think what you're saying there about the smile being important, like it really is. Like it's not having some like big cheesy grin plastered across your face, but you're right. She's looking towards you for permission as well. I think like she's looking at you to think, wait, is this okay for me to do? Is this okay for me to engage in? Like oftentimes when you are cold approaching, you need to hold their hand through the experience because they're not as practiced in the art of cold approach conversation as we are. Like for us, it's just another rep. For her, it might be the first time that this has ever happened. So she's looking for social cues, which she's familiar with, so she can latch onto the conversation. Oh, a smile. Great. I know how to respond to smiles. People who smile are safe people. So that's nice. So I think that's actually a really important point, just to make sure you do have when you're going in there, even just saying to yourself, smile, because you're right. If you've got no feedback, if you've not got anybody to tell you, guys are doing like 2,000 approaches, not getting anywhere. And it could be as simple as actually practicing smiling, which can make all the difference. So I think that's a really valuable point. The
Yeah.
other thing I wanted to ask you, where you're at right now, I would suggest that where you're at is the best place that you've been in since you actually started this. But obviously, there's always room for improvement. Yeah, we always want to be striving to get better. So, what do you think is the area for you that you want to perfect next?
Well, really, I'm just wanting to get more experience. That video that I shot a couple of weeks ago on mindfulness, I just felt I got to the next level. If guys want to watch that video, and you know, I just want to keep practicing mindfulness and just showing up with more and more girls, and just being grounded, and just really saying whatever's on my mind, not have too much structure. Because I know that we were chatting this week, weren't we, about what really works for you is you'll do the compliment, and then you'll say, so what are you up to today? And that really works for you. You've done so many approaches that literally after the compliment, you can just say, so what are you up today? And the girl's basically yours. She's actually attracted to you. And then you can just take the foot off the gas in a sense. But for me, I've tried your approach, and it doesn't really work for me. The girl says, "Oh, I'm going home," and she starts walking off, or "I'm on my lunch break, bye," and it's like, oh, what do I say? What do I say now? My mind goes blank. It's almost like I'm almost trying to use a script. I'm trying to copy you. And I think for me, it's more a case of just be present, be grounded, be enjoying the moment, and whatever comes into my mind comes into my mind. She can feel my masculinity, right? And so that's all I give her. That moment, right? She's going to walk off. She walks off, but it's more about being just, being grounded, being chill, going with the flow, really, and saying whatever compliment comes to mind, whatever feels appropriate. Um, yeah, because I say a lot of guys, they're going to have adrenaline, they're going to have anxiety doing this, right? And I totally get that, and we really need to work on that and get the guys just walking the streets feeling quite chill and happy, and oh, she's quite a nice girl over there. Let's just go and say something a bit cheeky, even going up to say, "Excuse me, can I say something a bit cheeky?" And then just have a little smirk and just wait and say nothing. Just say, "Can I say something a bit cheeky?" And just smile at her, wink at her, and then just do, things like that. You can do. You can be very creative with it when you're kind of in the moment and you have no outcome. You can just say whatever is appropriate. So I think that kind of idea, that approach, what appeals to me is really literally no scripts, because I have tried scripts. I know you do. You've got a few scripts that you offer guys, and I've tried these kind of things, but it almost fills my head with too much stuff to remember, or what do I say next? And all this takes away from just being chill, being relaxed.
Yeah, definitely. I think really what you're able to give guys is the confidence to be comfortable in their own skin. So when you're taking them around during these initial coaching sessions, I almost feel as though from what you were saying there, it's like call approach no longer becomes the focus. It's like their enjoyment of the day becomes the focus. Like they're going to be walking around London with you, they're going to be taking in the sights, you're probably going to be talking about different things. It's almost like the cold approach is this like it's like disguise in the background, and they'll feel I think they'll feel more comfortable doing the cold approach conversation because they feel more comfortable in themselves because you've got them into the best mental place possible. So I think that's really useful. So I think, yeah, to wrap this up, just what what do you think then is let's say you're going around with a guy and he's never done any cold approaches before, right? Let's say he's seen our videos together, he likes us, he resonates with us, he's like, yeah, I can see myself spending some days with these guys. Let's say he's got high anxiety, he's got a lot of voices going in his head, and he's walking around you and he's thinking to himself, I'm not sure if I can actually do this. How would you help that person through his first approaches?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing we'd do would sit down and just have a little bit of a chit chat. Ask him how his morning's going, whatever, just a bit of connection, and then I'll probably do with some kind of short meditation. We'll actually be sat in a coffee shop somewhere away from people, somewhere fairly quiet, and I'll just take him through like a breathing meditation, get him to in his body a little bit more, because the more basically you're in your body, then the less you're aware of the negative thinking that's going on in your mind. It has less power over you, right? So when there's less thought power, then the emotional response is a lot quieter. So there's less anxiety. So I'd go through a little short meditation practice with him, and till he feels a bit more comfortable, and then we'd actually start going and walking around, walking the streets, not approaching anybody, just walking the streets, like I was saying earlier, taking in the sights and the sounds, just breathing, just feeling relaxed and chill, and then just try and take it from there. Really, it's really going at the speed of the student. So but what I'd like to do is then, even in that first session, get them to do some easy approaches. So perhaps shop assistance, perhaps asking someone just standing having a cigarette, just say, excuse me, do you know where Starbucks is? Whatever. Just some nice, easy approaches. And I think what I can offer that I don't see many coaches doing is when I'm walking with the student, I actually go and do the approach first. So we're walking together, and perhaps I go over to ask someone for the directions, or we walk together. So the student walks with me to this person, and I actually just speak. The student just is by my side, is watching me, and I will do the speaking, and then and then eventually, obviously, the student ideally will then do it on them, by themselves. But it's the same with the hello exercise. This really fast way of warming up. It's about I can do the hello first, and then the student can have a go. So that's the kind of first few steps, I think. Really, is just getting them grounded and then doing nice, simple approaches.
Yeah, I
Just
think
sorry, just something else as well is I want to get them to point out. So if they see a girl they're attracted to, I want them to tell me. Don't have to approach them at this stage, but she's really fit over there. And just how the student practice really at being observant and actually looking around and seeing people that they would like to talk to.
Yeah, I think with that as well, they get comfortable declaring their desires as well, right? They don't feel like a closet heterosexual anymore. It's like, oh, you are actually allowed to find people attractive, and it's fine.
Yeah,
I think going around
uh,
with you, I always speak about this sense of permission, like having the permission to live as you please, to act as you want, to walk and talk the way that you want. I really do think it's almost impossible to have that permission if you're trying to do everything on your own because you don't know what you don't know. I think with this especially, we learn through osmosis. Yeah. So if a guy, like you say, can see you doing the activities that you're gonna get him to do, that breeds permission. Because it's like, I've got nowhere to hide now. Mark is leading by example. He's showing me. He's showing me the way. And it's like, I think it's almost like this healthy male competition that kicks in, right? I don't think any guy wants to be that guy who's like, oh, I've seen Mark do it. Now I have to do it, right? And that's good. Yeah, that's what we need. It's like that healthy male competition comes out. And I think that's what creates the lightning progress. You've got accountability now. There's nowhere to hide, right? Like there's nowhere to hide. You've paid for a coaching session. If the guy doesn't live in London, he's made the trip down. He's got the accountability then, so he's going to make the most out of that time. So no, I think that's really useful. And you said going at the speed of the student as well, which I think is well articulated. Everyone is operating on their own timelines with this. And it's important for us to find out who the individual is, what their specific wants and needs are, and then we can coach accordingly. So, yeah, no, look, thank you for giving us your time on the live stream. Is there anything else that you want to say before we say au revoir?
Well, yeah, just on that last point that you raised there, going at the speed of the student. I know from my own experience, if I'm pushed, then I just close up. and you can get trauma. If you've been pushed into a difficult situation. So it's really important that I judge the where the student actually is and pick the right exercise, the right exposure exercise for the student. I think I can do that very, very well because of my own sensitivity. But yeah, it's important that that we don't scare the shit out of the student. Um, and they come back for day 2 and day 3 and so on. Yeah, they
Yeah.
want to. You want just enough exposure such that they get a buzz out of it, and it's, wow, I can do this, and then it gets that bit of motivation then to do the next level of exercise and so on. You're trying to build this momentum, and if a student goes in too hard on something and they say no, I'm not going to do that, and they just want to basically go home with the tail between the legs, and obviously I don't want that. So I'm just very aware of that.
Yeah, I think your awareness, your empathy, and also your experience when it comes to not just the game, but I think just your life experience, having the meditation background, having the monastery, the Buddhism, like all of that stuff. I think it makes you a very grounded, relatable, empathetic human being. And I just think that you're gonna have that cosmic connection with the guys who you work with, where it's like the communication element. I think that certainly something that we found when we've been going around together, even with relationships with the guys that we've got in the entourage, it does become this echo chamber of empathy. Yeah, it's like I think the guys who you can cold approach with, you really can talk to them about anything, and then you're not going to feel judged for it. It's like a guy might explain trauma that he had in his life to you, and because you can resonate with that, it's like, yeah, like don't worry about it, like don't feel bad for that. I understand it. Here's the way forward, rather than, oh, if you don't approach, you're a pussy. It's like it's just
Yeah,
too much. It's just social stupidity. The guy's nervous. Like, so I think you're gonna be able to bring that to the table. And yeah, the fact that you're leading by example, and also the fact that I think what's really valuable is guys can actually see your personal transformation on the channel. So it's like they can view themselves, they can see themselves in a former version of you.
mm.
And I think it gives them empire visions. And it's like, wow, look how much Mark has transformed himself. That's possible for me as well. So yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot of beautiful transformations together this year. And I'm excited to actually begin this partnership and just welcoming you onto the team. Because, like I said to you, you are a representation of me. So I wouldn't want anybody on my team who I didn't think was going to be transformative and useful to the guys. So yeah, it's the highest compliment that I can pay you. Looking forward to doing more filming with you as well in a not so distant future. I know how much you like making the infields. It's like having your own James Bond movie moment, man.
I do
Nice.
actually. I'm quite addicted to doing the infields. Actually, I enjoyed that film we did a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a taste for it, man. I just think it's nice. I just think it's nice as well. Like you've rose up the ranks of the entourage. Now you're a coach, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just cool. It's like the just like, yeah, back in the fucking Roman Empire. Do you know what I mean? You're fucking general now, mate. But anyway, listen. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll do this again soon. And yeah, no, just looking forward to it. All right, Matt.
Yeah. Pleasure. See ya.